Welcome to the English Language Institute of Singapore's podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Ong. Here with me is Master Teacher Emelyn Kuan. Hi, Emelyn.
Hello, Victoria.
Emelyn has been at Alice since 2015 as a master teacher and has experience teaching English for more than 30 years. Emelyn, what is the place of metacognition in the teaching, learning, and assessment of Oracy?
Let me begin with a quick definition of metacognition. It is the ability to be aware of what and how you are thinking, to regulate and monitor your thinking in real time, and to reflect on how you can improve your thinking and learning. In the context of learning Oracy skills, students who are metacognitive have the ability to have a running conversation in their heads about how they are progressing as they plan and carry out a listening and speaking task. After the task is completed, they are able to reflect on and evaluate the experience and plan how they can do better at performing such a task in the future. As metacognition happens in the head, it is necessary for teachers to demonstrate what they think about and how they think.
Would you mind giving a little demonstration?
I can do a think aloud to demonstrate how to review the organization and flow of my planned speech. I would show students my written speech and say aloud, I am reviewing my speech now. So I will look closely at the words and phrases I have chosen and ask myself if they are appropriate to convey the meaning that I intend to convey. I see in my speech that I have used the phrase, the food was good. I should replace good with delicious, as it is a more appropriate adjective to be used to describe food. Let me see if there are words that should be deleted because they are repetitive or unnecessary. Instead of saying 12 noon, I can delete 12 and just say noon. The meaning is still the same. Are there phrases that I can reorder to make myself clearer? Oh yes, instead of saying she was the only person who came forward to help, I could say only she came forward to help. That is more succinct. And Victoria, that is how I would do a think aloud.
I can see now how Think Aloud makes visible the learner strategy you use to review and self-monitor your planned speech. How can teachers plan Oracy lessons so that metacognitive learner strategies are taught?
To plan Oracy lessons, we as teachers need to analyze our students' learning needs. Their needs should be based on their ongoing observations that we make of their oral responses, oral interaction, and oral presentations. We should also refer to the English Language Syllabus 2020 to identify the specific learning outcomes and the relevant skills, learner strategies, attitudes, and behavior, or SSAB for short, that correspond with the learning needs that we have analyzed our students to have. Let's say our students need to acquire the skill of distinguishing fact from opinion. Then, as we plan to teach this skill, we deliberately select the metacognitive learner strategies that are relevant. These metacognitive learner strategies are reflected as SSAB for critical listening and viewing in the ELS 2020 under the section of Use metacognitive strategies to actively regulate listening and viewing. An example of a metacognitive learner strategy we can select to teach and for our students to learn is checking current interpretation with prior knowledge about how facts differ from opinions. In my view, a good way to raise students' metacognitive awareness of a learner strategy is through the use of prompts.
When and how can prompts be used to raise students' metacognitive awareness?
There are 3 phases in an English language lesson: the before, during, and after phases. We can provide prompts that will trigger students' metacognition in these phases. If the learning experience is for students to view the true story of the 3 little pigs to distinguish fact from opinion, then in the before listening and viewing phase, we could raise students' metacognitive awareness. We could ask them questions such as, what thoughts do you have seeing that the story is told from the perspective of the wolf? Would you expect to hear a story based on facts or opinion? Why do you say so? How do you know? To raise students' metacognition in the while listening and viewing phase, before we play the video, we guide their listening and viewing with these prompts. As you listen and view, ask yourself, what makes me believe the wolf? How did I arrive at my conclusions? In the after listening and viewing phase, we can ask students these questions. What do you now know about how to distinguish fact from opinion? What makes you say so?
These prompts are useful in raising students' metacognitive awareness.
Yes, and having an open class discussion based on the prompts we provide would raise students' awareness of the need to think about their own thinking when they are learning. Students should be encouraged to exchange with their peers the metacognitive learner strategies that they have applied and worked well for them.
Do you have any closing comments you would like to share with teachers about metacognition and Oracy?
In my view, Victoria, for students to value metacognition, we teachers need to believe that metacognitive skills and learner strategies are extremely important. Only then will our students own their own learning.
Thank you, Emelyn, for your insights today.
My pleasure, Victoria.
And that's it for today's podcast. For this episode's show notes, do visit our podcast website at go.gov.sg/ELIS podcast. Thank you for listening.